evening to wherever you are in the world. You're here on Radio Works with your host, Sabrina Ben Salmi, on the Dream Big Show. I'm here with my special guest, Giselle Malawer. Giselle, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you, Sabrina, for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excellent. I'm trying to ground myself for this interview, to be honest, because I've literally just had an Alexander session, and I don't know how to quite put it into words. The awareness throughout the session of myself and the way my body is, the way I carry myself, and as the saying goes, you know, your posture can change your life. I didn't realize how tense I was. And Giselle, could you talk me through a bit about what you did for me in that session, please?
Yes, so basically I asked Sabrina to sit on a chair, and I was just observing her posture when she was sat on a chair, and I went through some tips with her. The Alexander technique is undoing habits and patterns that have accumulated over a lifetime. So a human being is not just physical. A human being is emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical. So the Alexander work is really quite holistic, working with the whole person, not just parts of a person.
Excellent. So what is Alexander technique, and where did it come from?
So it's been around for over 100 years. Frederick Matthias Alexander was an actor. He recited Shakespeare. And what he found is that his throat, he used to get a sore throat, and he found that his voice would become hoarse. So when he was on stage, his voice would become hoarse. When he spoke one-to-one, he was fine, but he couldn't understand why he had these problems. And he had many friends in the profession, as medical doctors in the profession, and nobody seemed to be able to come up with a diagnosis or a solution for him. So he one day asked one of his colleagues, "Do you think it's something that I'm doing that's creating the problem?" And his colleague said, "Yes, but I don't know what that is." So what Frederick Matthias Alexander did, he set up mirrors all around him. And what took him 10 years, but he painfully observed himself when he was out to make a movement. And so he didn't have anyone helping him. And what we give in one lesson now, is what took him 10 years to discover.
Wow.
So through one man's problem, we have a worldwide solution.
I love that. That actually brings back to this saying that's been with me throughout this week: you hurt, you heal, and you help. So, you know, through his pain, his personal pain, and his journey of self-discovery, he was able to develop this amazing technique.
Yes.
Why Alexander for you? How did you get involved? I want to hear a bit more about your journey, your background. Could you share that with us?
Absolutely. So for me, when I was a child, I always had an abundance of energy. And I was always talking to people and very easily distracted. Lots and lots of energy. So for me, I love doing exercise. I love dancing. I love doing exercise. And I think going through the school system, that was never really, the school system didn't work for me, because I learned visually, I learned auditory. So what happened, I went to live abroad, and my background was secretarial. I had had a secretarial career, shorthand, PA secretary in blue chip companies. I went to live abroad, so it served me very well. But what happened is I got into, in the early 90s, if you remember the Jane Fonda videos with the hairbands and the leotards and the tights and the
fame comes into mind. I'm going to live for it.
Yeah. So the pink, leg warmers. So I had all the gear, and I became addicted to exercise, the adrenaline rush, and I was working out like 5 times a week.
Wow.
Most of my teachers were all national champions.
Oh, wow.
So us pupils were almost like teachers. I just absolutely loved doing exercise. And it was the early 90s, the high impact aerobics. So the floors weren't sprung how they are today.
Yeah.
And the steps were quite high, and I've got short legs.
Okay.
So what happened as a result of overdoing it,
Yes.
I pulled ligaments and tendons behind my knee.
Ooh,
and then my back used to cave in. So I would literally in the morning climb up the wall to stand up.
No way.
So when your spine is not functioning well, then you're not comfortable in any position.
Wow.
And I had MRI scans on my knee, and knees can be really tricky and take a long time to heal.
Yes.
And I had what they said was a rotating patella. So due to sports injuries, a friend of mine, she was just studying to be an Alexander teacher. She was in her 3rd year.
Yes.
It takes 3 years to train to be a teacher. And she said, why don't you come into the school and let my teacher work with you? And I'm sure he'd be able to help you.
Ooh, what happened next?
So I thought, well, I'll try anything when you're in pain and, on a daily basis, you can't function as normal.
Yes.
So I thought, I've got nothing to lose. And I went along and I had my first lesson. And I remember so clearly, this was like over 20 years ago. And I remember so clearly my first lesson, I'd been laying down on the table. And when I sat up, my teacher said that he wanted me to look out the window.
Yes.
And just to put my focus with my eyes, looking out the window.
Yes.
And I just felt that if I flapped my arms, I'd fly out the window, because my body, through exercising, my muscles were very tense, over holding.
Yes.
And so my body felt so light. And it was the most amazing experience.
I can definitely relate, because that's how I felt. I felt so tense at first. But yeah, that's amazing. Wow.
So it was just a beautiful experience for me. I was flowing. I had a dynamic balance, like when a small child is walking. And I just felt really good. And so I had another couple of lessons, and I just knew that was it for me. It was very clear that this was something I wanted a career in this. I thought, I want to learn to be a teacher. And I asked my teacher, do you think I could come to the school and train to be a teacher?
Yes.
Now, I think sometimes it might take a person 3 months, 6 months, a year of lessons before they might have that. I knew after my first lesson that this was something I wanted to do.
Wow.
Because when I went to school, the trend was secretarial, accounts and shorthand, and it's a good profession. Working for a CEO and managing directors of companies, but it was never my personality. And when I went to school, had they had something like movement therapy or drama therapy back then, that probably would have been my chosen path.
That kind of brings me to, sorry to cut you, would you go to
No, that's fine.
I was going to think, like, how could the Alexander technique perhaps help children? Because you mentioned the educational system, like, you didn't quite fit in because you was like a very active child. I'm just thinking, I'm speaking to some friends that have children that have ADHD and, various conditions that they've been diagnosed with. Yeah. How could that perhaps benefit children? What do you think?
Well, when we started our work today, first of all, I got you to work on a chair.
Yes.
And then you see, when you take the spine from a vertical position, you've got gravity pulling you down, so the body collapses.
Yes.
And the body's heavy and our energy is not flowing. So when you take the spine away from gravity and put your spine in a horizontal position, laying down,
yes,
the Alexander work, laying down in semi-supine, that helps to lengthen the spine, to make the discs more plump. The head is not creeping forward, so you haven't not putting pressure on the spine. So the head, it's restoring what we naturally had as children. When you imagine a small child starting to walk, it's that floaty balloon head that's just balancing on top of the spine. So the Alexander technique is the relationship between the head, neck and back. It's not exercise based. So the laying down work is precious. So the spine is lengthened, you have better breathing. It will actually calm the nervous system and probably be good for the digestive system as well, because the body has got more space in the joints, better for breathing, better for voice projection. You're using both sides of the brain. It helps to develop creativity.
Yes.
And it will also, so it's mainly, it's all of those things, and it will help to fine tune our 5 senses. And the world we live in with kids growing up, parents are buying children iPads at the age of 2.
Exactly.
So, nowadays you see children as young as 2 bent over on the floor not sitting with a lengthened spine.
Yeah,
it's quite sad.
I found that quite interesting, as I invited you along, obviously, for a Tracion session when it was at Child Genius, because of that very thing. And it was quite interesting to see you work with my children. Because Tracion obviously is diagnosed with asthmatic, he's an asthmatic. And he said he found it so invigorating the way he was able to breathe right after Alexander technique. And obviously on the competition day of Child Genius, so much stress in the room, and he was able to alleviate that. But it was interesting. Remember the mother that approached you and said, could you do a session on her daughter? So that was awesome. Why is this part of your big dream? Why Alexander? Why not chiropractic? Why not physio? Why is this?
So the Alexander technique is very unique and very different, in as much as when you think of, it's not exercise based. What I'm doing is I'm empowering, impacting, helping people transform the way they look, the way they feel, the way they move, the way they perform. And when you see the after results compared to how a person comes into a room, and then you see how they walk out, even in one session, it doesn't mean they have that for it's like having your first driving lesson.
Yes.
But the difference, I can visually see a difference, and then I know they have to be feeling a difference.
Exactly.
So the Alexander technique you apply to your everyday activities, whether you're sitting over a computer, whether you're in your office, whether you go to the gym, whether you're baking a cake in the kitchen, our everyday movements. This is the foundation of movement. So when you exercise and go to the gym, you have an awareness. It's education. It's re-education. So you're unlearning to relearn new improved habits. You're taking old bad habits and through re-education, you're giving a person, you're putting yourself back in balance, but your poise, balance, coordination, and alignment is renewed.
It's beautiful.
But it's not. So the difference between Alexander technique and physio, which is exercise, or chiro, I'm not fixing the person. I'm giving you the practical tools for you to have that awareness through education that will prevent back pain in the future, that will allow you to realize what you're doing. It's putting you in the present moment.
Sure.
Giving you that awareness so you can make changes earlier on.
I actually like that, because from obviously being thank you for gifting me the session, but actually having the experience, I really agree with what you're saying. It really made me aware of my body. I carried my body, the way I was walking, the way I was feeling, and also just as you was touching different parts of me, it's quite invigorating just to see how tense different parts of my body was, because I'm usually always on the go or always in service to someone or something else. It was quite interesting, just kind of, I think you told me off because I was trying to, can I help you with this? And that was so interesting for me, because I'm so used to not just pausing and saying, just let that be done. So that was quite interesting. The other thing I was going to say to you, what are the dangers to do or not to do, in the sense that if we don't take care of our posture, what are the implications? What are the health or mental health and physical implications not take care of our posture?
What I feel, if you think of third world countries where women carry really heavy objects on top of their head, they have that beautiful head, neck and back alignment. In third world countries, when they don't sit on chairs, they squat down. So if you think of a small child doesn't bend from the waist, a small child will bend from the hips. So with Alexander work, so I was working with you on a chair, we did some laying down work, and then I go through body mapping. So it's difficult to explain on air without showing you, but so I go through the body and we map the body in a different way to how we envisage
very
it.
True, yes, that's right.
So what was your question?
I was just saying, what are the implications that for myself and listeners that to not take care of our posture? How will having bad posture affect our health?
What's happening, kids grow up with technology, so they're relating to a computer. So their patience, their tolerance, how long they can focus and concentrate on something, the communication skills, all these things are very, to learn what that's doing to your posture, your breathing, your projection, how a person perceives you. And what my vision really is in the future is to collaborate with other professionals and to create beautiful creative programs through dancing, singing, Alexander work, artwork, to put together a program which will be suitable for kids, but also for adults, because after all, we're grown up kids.
Yes.
And which can be very healing. And to create, you know, beautiful programs and maybe family retreats as well.
Oh, that's we'll be booking on one of those. Actually, on that note, is there any way that listeners can get in touch with you if they were interested in having a session or retreats?
Yeah, so basically you can reach me on Facebook, okay. Giselle Malawer.
Could you spell that just in case?
Yeah, so it's Giselle, Malawer, M for mother, Alawer, Giselle Malawer on Facebook, and there's a link through to other pages through my Facebook page. My website is www.backinbalance.org.uk. So you can reach me through my website as well.
Is there an email address perhaps, or are you on Twitter?
I'm not on Twitter but my email address is Giselle, Giselle, at backinbalance.org.uk. So you can reach me.
Thank you very much.
By email there.
Listeners can get in touch with you if they want more details on that.
And what I will be offering, I'm about to...
I was about to ask you the question.
So what I'm looking for now is 6 case studies, and I'm going to be putting out a date in June, either June the 16th or the 23rd, probably June the 23rd.
Okay.
But I'll confirm that at a later date. I'm going to put out a discovery date, and I'm looking for 6 people, 6 case studies, where we can see the before and after photos. I'm going to take 6 people through a 12-week program. And I'm going to have a discovery day, so people, if whoever would like to be in touch, can come along. They can meet me. I can go through the benefits, and you know, we can have an introduction to what the Alexander technique is, how it can help you, how you can benefit from it. Most people will come to the Alexander technique that either have some sort of pain, whether it's back pain, neck pain, hip pain, or they have really bad posture. A third category would be people that are, you know, very into their health and well-being, and they eat well, and they know that they want to take care and look after their bodies. But the main 2 categories will be pain and posture. And
you're also passionate about doing the Alexander with who? Little ones, aren't you? Workshops
with kids and teens. That's something I really want to get into. I want to create an online educational course, a beginner's guide.
But you've got a workshop that you can offer, obviously, for children as well. Groups of 10, wasn't it?
Yeah, 6 to 10 kids. So it's a private group. They all get attention, but in a fun, safe, creative.
Yeah, I think you're natural with children, and Giselle's amazing with my children. I wish I could keep her. You know what I would like to hear? Do you remember the testimonies you were sharing with me? I thought that was quite interesting about the couples, and then other people that came to you. Maybe share some of those.
So the work is so profound because you're working with a whole person, not just a physical being. And I actually had a husband and wife that came along. They both had they asked if they could have a lesson together. So the first lesson I did a lesson together, but they had different issues going on with their bodies. So I worked with them separately. But one day towards the end of the course, the wife, she actually said to me that it brought her husband and herself closer. They bonded better after having Alexander sessions. And they used to go for a walk and talk about their sessions and how it's helping them. And so it gave them common ground to talk about, you know, the technique and this new skill that they were learning. And I was chuffed because I'd never heard someone say that it brought, you know, I'd never had a testimonial like that before.
How about some people who've worked with like children? What sort of feedback have you had from that?
So I worked with a physiotherapist once who referred some patients to me. She felt that the Alexander technique would work better for them than the physio, or to collaborate together with her. And I had a 13-year-old girl, and her posture was quite poor, but I think it's because she came from a big family, and I think she was carrying the little ones around, helping the mum. And I think that, you know, that was quite a heavy weight for her. And within one session, her posture looked very different. And the parents said to me that they couldn't believe what she looked like.
Wow.
Because they hadn't seen that before.
Yes.
But
it's
so
amazing that they identified that so quickly.
Yeah, so with one lesson there was a huge difference. But obviously it's something you have to be, like anything. If you have one driving lesson, you're not going to learn to drive a car.
Exactly.
You have to have every week a lesson. You learn new things. You reinforce the old things. You learn new things, and then move forward. And you continue to learn. Another testimonial, I had a gentleman come along, and when we started working, he then said to me, I have orthotics in my shoes. And it was very interesting because I got him to walk around.
What is orthotics, just for perhaps someone doesn't
know?
If
someone, different foot problems, you might go to a podiatrist, and they do a mould inside your foot of an inner sole that's supposed to help you walk.
Okay.
To correct your problem, your gait, so that when you're walking you have a back, to correct your posture, really.
Okay.
So what I did is I asked him to walk around, and so first he walked around with his shoes.
Yes.
Then he took his shoes off, walked around in with socks on.
Yes.
Then we did the table work, and then afterwards I got him to walk around again with his socks on, and then he put his shoes on. And at that point he said to me, actually I wear orthotics. And he started to walk in a really strange way. Ooh. So because I had balanced his body, when he then was using an outside tool, the orthotics, he actually wasn't, he was walking, it wasn't comfortable for him.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so he said, I'm going to take them out.
Oh, that's amazing.
And a few days later, I phoned and asked, how are you getting on? And how do you feel after your first session? And he said, I'm not wearing my orthotics anymore.
Well, do you know what? You haven't shared that with me. That's quite touching, because I had a childhood friend called Ben, and we were best friends growing up. And he had I think about an inch. He used to wear one of those arrays in his shoes because he would walk with a limp. And, that's life-changing, because to have to take it out.
Well, you don't necessarily wear orthotics if you have a different leg length.
Okay.
But I have worked with a couple of ladies who had hip replacements.
Oh, wow.
And it's really funny because I had two ladies that came to me the same week, made an inquiry to come for a lesson. They were both 77 years of age, and they both had just had hip replacements.
Oh, my word.
But so there was, a real compensating going on, and postural misalignment.
Yes.
And so it was wonderful, because you're not going to change the leg length.
Yes, of course not. Yes. But if it's an alignment thing.
But I was able to help them think more about the side that the work that I did with them made a really lovely improvement to them.
That's amazing.
So that was with hip replacements, with orthotics. I've worked with children with postural issues.
Yes.
But I don't like it when a parent says, can you fix my daughter or son's posture? I prefer to have a group workshop, make it fun. So
you're not pointing at a child saying you need to fix and you need to change.
You don't want to be fixing anyone, because a lot of the time when a parent wants something to change with the child, it's not about the child. It can be about the parent. It could be about the grandparent.
Yes.
And I always remember when I was in training, my teacher used to always say, if a parent says something about the child, we need to be looking, it's the parent that needs the Alexander work, or the grandparent. Yeah, because we're all creatures of habit.
Yes, you've got that cute picture. It would have been awesome if we actually brought along. You got that awesome picture with the child walking behind the grandfather and the father, and he was just mimicking their body language. I thought that was really cool. And I like the idea of having the mirror. What if you was to dream big now, Giselle, and there's someone listening? What's the one takeaway you want to get to the listener? What powerful message do you want to share? What's your dream? Why do you want to bring? Because I see you as a health and wellbeing coach. I don't see you just as an Alex, not in any rude way. I'm sure you understand what I mean. I think there's so many facets to you. I think you're amazing, very health conscious, and you've given us so much tips as a family. What message do you want to say to listeners about their health? Why is it important for us to really maintain a healthy lifestyle?
Well, the thing is, the world we live in is full of toxins. It's a different world to my grandparents' time, for example. Fruit in terms of nutrition, doctors don't learn nutrition. Within their 7 years of training, they have maybe one module. And there's so many natural products out there without, having to take drugs that can help us. And I feel that for me, my purpose of being here, I'm an educator, I'm a teacher, and I love to make a difference. I want to impact and empower as many people's lives as I can through education. And so the Alexander work, you know, we parents don't get a degree on how to raise children.
Absolutely not.
And, you know, patterns and habits are handed down from generation to generation. So how do we rewire the brain? How do we rewire these? So with the Alexander work, once you take a pattern, you know, we don't know what we don't know.
Exactly,
we don't know the patterns that we're running.
Exactly.
But once through the Alexander technique, people start to have more self-awareness that the pattern can become a habit. So a habit is like if you're smoking a cigarette, you know it's bad for you, it's a habit, but you have a choice. So when we can take patterns and raise that, so you're consciously aware of your patterns that then become habits, you then have a choice to change them.
Yes.
So that, together with exercising for 40 years, together with teaching people how important it is to drink water and alkalized water, nutrition, feeding our body with antioxidants, because the statistics now, 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with cancer by the year 2020. So I feel it's my job to go out there I deliver a really lovely talk about the subject of antioxidants and how we can prevent disease and illness. I've met Professor Dr. Dinya Zoltan 6 times now. It's a whole other story, maybe for another talk. But so that my passion is to give people the tools to help themselves, not to fix people, but to teach people through education.
So instead of giving them a fish, you're teaching how to fish. So they come to you, they learn techniques and new habits, and they can go into their lives. Is that kind of?
Yes. So for me, my philosophy is prevention is better than cure.
I agree.
So when people come running to you because they're so ill or they're in so much pain, let's go through. Start with kids at school.
Exactly. Yeah, teach them the right
nutrition, posture, from a young age, and then we can really see a difference and a change in the world. And you know, I'd love to collaborate with other professionals.
You're reading my mind, Giselle. I'm not allowed to do that. I was going to say, like, if there's any listeners out there, who would you like to collaborate with? Are you looking for a space? Perhaps are you happy to go into different centres, schools, or you know, what's that for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to work in the performing arts area.
Okay.
Kids that are using IT, kids that are doing sports. I think it would be lovely to give the Alexander technique to maybe women that have been through domestic, women and men. It doesn't have to be women only. I work with everyone. I've never only worked with women only, women and men who've been through domestic violence. Because the sense of touch is the most, you know, what our 5 senses, the sense of touch is the most important one, because what we see can be an optical illusion, but through the sense of touch, you get the real story, the truth.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, and how often
so when I'm working with someone through the sense of touch, I can understand what's going on, but also through the sense of touch, a person can realize how much they're holding, and when they start releasing in the muscles, they have that awareness of what's going on.
I think the work you do is beautiful. I'm just really invigorated. I'm honoured to have you in our lives, to be honest. And I look forward to, you know, just seeing you thrive and following your dreams and aspirations, and just share your gifts with the world. You're a blessed, beautiful soul. Absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. And it's knowing you and your family, and I hope we'll create lots and lots of beautiful memories.
Oh gosh, yes, certainly.
To come.
Is there a closing message? Perhaps we're sort of coming to the end of the show now. Is there a closing message you'd like to share? Forget about me being with you. Just speak to the listeners and leave them with a last message from Giselle.
Yes, well, I think I've said most of. I don't think
you've said enough.
I think I've said. Well, I just want to impact as many lives as I can with the work that I do. I've been teaching Alexander work for 20 years. I've never really had a team of people around me. So I'm just really grateful that now I'm learning to ask for help.
Excellent.
I'm getting a team of people together around me that can help me to get, you know, my message out
Here's
there.
an opportunity. Can you ask for help? What are you looking for? Perhaps say 3 things that you're looking for. What can someone help you out with?
Well, yeah, I'd like to have access to to maybe schools, or I want to work with small groups of you know, privately with kids and teens. So whoever can connect me,
some connections there. So that's number 1. Number 2,
with that, I'm looking, as I said, for 6 case studies.
Okay.
For a 12-week program, that would be great to get those 6 case studies together.
Anything else?
And yeah, to put together, so I want to put together a program where we have dance, we have singing, we have, you know, voice work, we have art and Alexander work together. So anyone that would like to collaborate in those areas.
Oh, fantastic. You seem to be very good at asking that.
Would be great to put on like a weekend event. And we could work with children and we could work with adults, and then we could put everyone together and make it a really lovely family experience.
Sounds brilliant, especially the family aspect. I hope you've enjoyed the interview this time. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Giselle, for sharing. Giselle is going to be with us on the 1st of June at our Dream Big event. So if you're free, please come down and share the love. There's going to be children in the room because it's International Children's Day. So come along, have some fun at our gala. There's going to be a red carpet. So from myself, Dari and Marina, we look forward to meeting you on the red carpet. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you for having me. Thank you.